I know that my reality has shifted from one that I thought I grew up in. I don't know how many times. I know it's been many, actually. But of recent, they're much bigger and much more in-your-face, interesting shifts and changes for major things in this world, including where the solar system is within the galaxy. For me, that has changed. I remember being out on one of the far ends.
Spiral arms.
Now we're in the closer to the center, about halfway. At least that's the last I checked, and a million other things. But that's just to show you, you know, that we're making big leaps in kind of getting out of what we thought we knew and what truth is, because truth, and starting to learn that your truth is your truth, your truth is your truth, mine is mine. And there's blendings, there's everything.
And we're networking.
And what we're, exactly, we're sharing all of that. And a lot of people are actually finally kind of getting to a place where they're kind of being okay with letting go of the need to say, you can't do that, you can't do that. I've got to drive all of you, you know. And it's like, you do, but you do it from in here.
Yeah.
And you're already driving all that you don't like out there by resisting it. You're bringing it, keeping it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds, I'm getting more thoughts. They're saying they don't want to speak up, but they're sharing something. We know how we have the internet, right? And we can connect with all sorts of information that we're not experiencing firsthand, but we're experiencing it through a system that gathers the information together. You could say, you know, call out the reality stars on television and say, you know, you screwed up, do something better, right? You watch people live their life, or something occurs, an incident or something, and you can give your own opinion of it. And that's fine. But is it really our opinion to give that they have to take on?
Right.
No. Right. Our opinions are sort of like how we would live this journey in another person's story.
Yeah.
At least for the moment.
At least in that present moment, how you would look at it.
Exactly.
And this sort of like vast communication that we have access to now suggests an intermixing more than just the idea of everyone's watching.
So it's like tapping into the Akasha almost. We're literally beginning to do that. It's almost like weavings, and every time these two threads cross, there's like a neuron that lights up and spreads it out even more, and there's so much connectivity.
Yeah, and there's more of a two-way thing. It's not like just television anymore, right? Television's not two-way. But the internet is. Things like going live and, you know, sharing in the present moment where we are. I mean, we could have the same conversation tomorrow and it's not going to be the same conversation.
Exactly.
Right.
So from that vantage point, the internet is a really good symbolic evidence of what's to come, right? It's sort of like, you don't have a right to change somebody else's website, no more than you have the right to come in and change how someone decorates their house. But finding this sort of where you are and what's right for you, it's as if no one can bully you into doing anything else. There is no purpose in that. It's a waste of time. You just look away and you focus on people who do give a crap about you. You know, things like this. So finding yourself is going to be supported by the larger world network, however you decide to interface with it, whether it's with technology or whether it's, you know, just being a part of your local community.
Because it's a desire from within that actually brings it forward in the
actually
hologram that feeds you.
Yeah. And, you know, we can see this evidenced faster now with our technology. Just, you know, technology just does things faster, you know, in a more easy to follow sort of approach. And we're seeing more of that now. And if you go back to the days where there was telephone booths and, you know, no internet and snail mail, you know, people spent a lot of time trying to stay together by writing letters to each other. You remember how that was business, you know, and good handwriting was good too, because not everyone even had a typewriter. But as technology has sort of been there with us, it's given us vast opportunities that have changed us as people too. Like, so I don't want to say technology is making us who we are. We want to be who we are, and we're figuring that out, and means are showing up to allow us to do that.
Right. Absolutely.
And the Pleiadians speak on the fact that they have technology, that, you know, free energy and all that. We have that too. We do. We just aren't finding a way of working as a community to acknowledge a best practice
Yeah.
for free energy. You know, we talked about recycling the other day,
Yeah.
and it was like, recycling is a great idea to a point.
Right.
And then it becomes greenwashing. Then it becomes like running a business that's for profit.
Right.
That amounts to basically recycling maybe only a 5% increase in energy use, you know, rather than a complete reuse of the energy.
So like sound and light energy will now start taking place, you know, in that, and start dissolving what we don't want, recreating it, you know, alchemically changing it, morphing things, and so we don't have all of the waste and the clunky way of doing it. What we thought was streamlined and amazing is now clunky, and that spiral seems to get tighter and tighter now for us, and I think we're just triggering new and new and new till we get to realize that, you know, the technology is right there, and the middleman is part of life and enjoying, but there's a lot of that gets to change, and I don't know what it is, but I know it's going to be sticking awesome.
Yes.
So far, it's as awesome as I can reflect and say things have been awesome the past 10 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like even now, a year ago, I never thought I could just be out in my backyard with you guys, with my
Right.
phone,
It's amazing.
and still get to run a show.
Right.
You know, that sort of thing, or share something
Yeah,
like
for
that.
real.
Yeah. Just take a few
And
moments out
Allison,
of the
mind you, too.
afternoon.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking for a while. This is the first time we've met. So, did you want to share? How
No.
do you feel? No.
No, I feel like I'm just here soaking in this experience.
Do you
so,
have any questions that you might like to ask us? Or
well, I would like a personal example from each of you about how you have really come to a point where you have reached a marker, like something that has been a definitive growth and change that you, is like an anchor point for the new energies.
that feels like a really difficult one to
put together.
bring
Yes.
down into one little thing, because there are so many parts. It's like a tapestry, and each part is unique and different unto itself. There are different patterns over here and different ones over here, and they all kind of come together and work together. Sometimes they still feel almost like they're different parts of the puzzle, you know, that it's like here and here, but a lot of them for me are now interweaving, intertwining. I'm seeing much more connectivity. I'm feeling much more myself, much more calm within inside of myself. I learn what I don't know all the time,
Right.
and
Things come easier now. It approaches you as opposed to you searching for it.
if you can
Yeah.
allow for that,
Yes.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
certainly the energies are, like you were saying, they're supporting that in a big way right now.
For me, I would say, I've had other moments, like in September last year, I found out about the no death factor. That kind of changes mortality and, you know, what we're doing to strive to live. Find out living happens. You don't have to try to do that. You don't have to try not to die. You know, it's easy to not die at this point. If everybody's still focusing on the not dying, you know,
That could be a show in
that's-
itself,
right.
there. That would be an
Sure.
excellent one,
Yeah.
actually.
that, you know, pretty much rocked my world, right? And at this time, as of recently, finding out more about the fractalness of everything, the vibrational fractal progression system, it's guiding me into things that start to look like time travel and dimensional rifts and possibilities that are more easy to access than ever before. And I'm not talking Doctor Who. I mean, I could talk a good Doctor Who story, but it's more along the lines of, like, the Mandela Effect. We've gone through things. Like, we've invited ourselves into a new world, in a way.
A lot.
And we
Often.
invite each other, too.
Yeah.
You know, together. And, you know, sometimes this journey is not just by yourself. It, you know, it can be with people who, you know, support what you're bringing forward. I don't know about the Bernstein Bears.
I don't know about that. Or Fruit Loops.
Or Fruit Loops. But, you know, there are sometimes synchronistic side effects to weird things going on. And
the JFK assassination, for me, there is absolutely no question about it. It is so completely different.
Oh, speak more about that, Judy.
Really?
Yeah,
You
go
want
for
that
it.
to be part of this?
Well, you seem so excited about it.
Well, only because it was such a drastic difference. What I remember was a 4-seater car. And I remember seeing, you know, how Jackie reacted and how she went off and how he went like this and went like this. And then, you know, I saw autopsy paper that showed, you know, how his head was blown out back here. This is a whole different one now. This is a 6-seater car. They're Jackie and here in the back in the same place. His actions are very, very different. They're a couple in between. He goes like this instead of like this. He goes like this, and she comes in. This is crazy. I'm telling you, this is crazy. She comes in and holds this arm up and holds him back, leans in real close down here, has her arm down here, and all of a sudden his whole head goes up like that. Spray, everything, pieces coming off. You can see his brain. None of that was it was the Zapruder film. It's the Zapruder film. It looks completely different. It's a whole different reality.
Wow.
And there's more to it, but that's enough. That'll give you enough. I mean, that's shocking enough. And there's actually still remnants of the old that particular reality. In fact, there are lots of remnants of a lot of them now, all joining the same space, which I'm finding really, really intriguing.
Well, part of the Mandela Effect that I'm seeing is actually affected by people not actually dying. That we live in a Ground Hog Day-esque kind of situation. Like when you die, you can show up again and do that day over again.
Right.
Right? Most people are like, you die, you know,
Right.
You know, you're done here.
I felt myself
but
come back and keep moving through to the same point, but in different ways. You know, that kind of thing. It's not like I remember it, but I remember it in a way.
Well, because when you're dreaming, you have access to going anywhere,
Okay.
really.
Yeah, I just
And
so
you may think that like, no, my body didn't go anywhere, right? It didn't go anywhere, but you don't remember what you don't know that you didn't experience.
Right.
Exactly.
So you don't have what was on the tape that you're rewinding, right? And in that way, just by going to sleep, you can be excited for what you might have tomorrow. Because it's like kind of up to you. Like, am I going to wake up on a ship tomorrow and just have fun or something? That's actually viable. And just like if you've ever woken up on Christmas morning and you're like, I can't believe I made it here. You know, it's like as a kid at least, you're like, man, it's finally happening. You know.
So what if you actually wake up? See, this is something I saw in one of my journeys where I was stepping off of a ship, and this was all lucid. Stepping off of a ship into an experience pod is what I called it. And in the back of the experience pod, there were modules. They were called history modules. And I understood that I could take a history module out and put a different one in, and that my experience would be that new creation and all of its history as if I had lived every single bit of it until that time, fully, completely fleshed out in all different kinds of ways. And so, you know, sometimes I think even where I am right now could have been so thoroughly, completely different than yesterday, but that would be not part of my reality anymore, and it wouldn't be part of what I've, you know, now in the program for. Yeah, we could actually create that we've all had experience together, and have it be completely real, even though it never really truly happened. It's just written into the program.
The program itself is becoming the truth, you see. We'll live a truth that we believe, right? So finding a way of working with your beliefs and your truth is part of the dynamic process where you're a chooser, right? Because, you know, the mind is here to operate to give us grounding, right? Some semblance of continuity so that we can walk through a day without having to figure out life like you were a child, right? Every day. Some continuity, like, you know, I'm going to be in the same house when I wake up, because if I wake up in a new house every morning, you know, it's going to be weird. It's going to be like a weird television show.
Only if you didn't know that it was that. That's what, it's almost like instead of having that.
But the continuity still involves, like, I want what I've been doing for the past 7 days matter.
Right.
You know, if I want it not to matter, then I will forget, and it
So
won't
that's
matter.
that's why those questions were brought in from the Pleiadians. That those are things that matter to us, and that helps ground that, the memory of that. That's how I saw it.
I'm just going to share, if you bring up their name, they're going to want to talk.
Well,
It's like, give a mouse a cookie. They have a comment.
Okay.
And the comment is, regarding continuity, it becomes a local collective process. And the local collective makes decisions. So, for instance, the Pleiadians I'm talking with on the ship, they have their own Pleiadian business that they're going about, exercising. It's not what's going on Tegeta or Alcyon or anything like that. They're having something that they know is kind of like a Star Trek experience. Like they're living a final frontier. There's not as many rules as there would appear to be here.
Okay.
And they're constantly trying to make the most of it. Like every day, just like, the Star Trek ship has, missions. They got things that they're all working on together as a team. Everybody's contributing whatever perspective they have that helps it come through.
Right.
And a good part of it, as probably many people follow me or aware, is that they were an observation ship. They did a lot of observation. They did a lot of, grabbing all the airwaves and sort of giving analysis and sharing with people what was going on there. But now it's more like they're a contact ship. They're like,
okay, so
we've been observing humans for so long, we have an idea of what contact might play out to be. We can see humans better. We are close with them in the way of following, what they do and what they've been going through. So, it's kind of like finding empathy with people who don't even know you exist.
Well, what I've noticed too is that the number of humans right now that are able to open themselves up for this information from different types of Pleiadians and others from different star systems is growing exponentially.
Right.
Like everywhere I look, and you know what? Also, the quality of the information and the pristineness, the clarity of the information, at least from my point of view, has raised, the bar has raised quite a lot as well. Actually, quite a lot. So that's exciting, so there's more energy through all of the, through the portal that we are,
right.
For those who are opening up to that. And I think on many levels, subtler, all of us do.
Yes. I'm being guided to mention the brain a little bit. And this is a recent insight for me, is that the brain is like in the movie Stargate. You've got a Stargate where you need to move these images around and arrange them in order to get an address.
Like a key?
Like a key, and you put certain keys together and you get to go to a place. The pineal gland is how we observe and begin to realize what we're inviting. And the brain is almost like all the computer program vibrations taking place in specific arrangements. So you're actually running a fractal system in your brain at the moment, and it shoots through the pineal gland level of awareness so that you can begin to understand where you're standing and what you can do with where you're standing. Like, what can I do in this present case scenario? The brain is always about, interpreting its environment and that sort of thing. But then
creating new synapses.
Right. But then to realize that all you need to do is almost like imagine something long enough, you'll end up with that. And since the brain doesn't operate on the way of supporting imagination, spontaneity, like I think about this and it occurs, it comes down to relaxing how the brain has made all its determinations. And and that breaks down your sense of reality at first. And that's why we have substances. They actually cut out certain parts of your brain from operating. Any substances that that affect your mind are basically cratering certain parts of what operates. It's like taking a couple integers out and it gives you a simplified, in some cases, life is easier to look at. Like,
right.
It seems to make...
It takes the barriers, the programming barriers, many times it takes those out so that between you and this reality, there's not much in between, and there's the flow just seems clear.
And that's why people go towards substance, I want to say, because in the world that does not have a substance system, it's as if you're trapped. It's as if you've been taught to be trapped in some way. And so with other substances, or people basically exercising freedom and choosing freedom and wanting freedom and practicing freedom, every way that freedom matters to be explored, people who are doing that are finding that they can approach things by saying it's wrong, or they can approach things by saying what's better, like what's righter than that. And they can go in both directions. They can look at wrong and try to fix it. That's fine. And they can look at, you know, something that could be better and say, let's make this better. And both camps take place, I think, at the same time. Everyone does a certain amount of looking at their life and saying, I'm not giving energy to that anymore. But this time and era, as we started the whole conversation to begin with, time and era are the same thing. Time and place is the same thing. You are where you are. I am where I am. Don is where he is. Judy's where she is. Housen's where she is. In this moment in time, it holds all the information about your journey. You know, we're outside. Nature is beautiful. I can reflect on that, but I can take it to another level. I can say, I'm stepping out. You know, I'm putting myself out more into nature. And when I say nature, I mean like I'm putting myself into just being out there and seeing how it treats me so that I can react more succinctly with the bigger picture. It's like I don't want to be in a room as often anymore.
Right.
I want to be, you know, with a larger landscape to receive and interpret for purposes of guidance. Not everybody does it that way, but in the same point of how information is all around us, there's an infinite level of depth to interpret by giving time to your life, by being introspective. You know, meditation definitely is a... Try and see how it goes.
Looks like it still might be.
It's still, well...
It's retrying. Yep, you're live.
All right. Well, we should probably wrap up, to be honest. We've got some grilling to do.
We got food.
And it's another way to enjoy this outdoors is eating food made outdoors. How amazing is that?
And a bonfire, which we've had for the last 2 nights.
Yeah.
They really were bonfires. They were
They're incredible. Do you want to get a shot of that, Allison?
Yeah, take a look at
what
that
kind of bonfire we've got?
Yeah, that's Crystal's handiwork right there.
She handmade it. It's amazing.
So, anyhow, does anybody have any final things they want to...
No, but I feel like there's more to come from this maybe, or whatever. It's just a nice sharing on a beautiful afternoon while we're all together.
Exactly. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for hosting with us.
Yay! Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Well.
See you all.